Some people will carry a problem for years and never ask anyone for help. Not their friends, not their family, not their coworkers. Last year, someone I know organized a birthday dinner. It wasn't a huge party, just a small gathering at a restaurant, about 12 people who had been invited weeks earlier. But one of the guests had a large social media following, around 8,000 followers. Before the dinner even started, he had already posted several stories, a countdown, photos, updates. By the time everyone arrived, his phone was already a big part of the night. Throughout the dinner, he kept pulling it out, taking pictures of the food, recording short clips of the table, checking who had viewed his story. Meanwhile, the birthday dinner was happening right in front of him. At the end of the night, the person whose birthday it was said something quietly, not directly to him, but to someone nearby. "I don't think he was really here tonight." And that line says a lot. Because while 8,000 people online saw a carefully edited version of that evening, the 12 people actually sitting at the table barely experienced that guest at all. Interestingly, there was another guest there too. This person never once took out their phone. They talked with everyone at the table. They remembered details about people's lives from conversations months earlier. They laughed, listened, and simply participated. And when they left, they didn't post a single photo. The next morning, the birthday person sent them a message saying how much it meant that they came. That contrast is fascinating. 8,000 strangers online received a polished image of the night, while the real people present only experienced a fraction of someone who was physically there. That difference raises an interesting question. Why do some people feel the constant urge to document their lives online, while others feel no desire to share anything at all? The psychology behind this is deeper than most people expect. But before we explore the benefits of privacy, there's an uncomfortable truth worth acknowledging. Not everyone leaves social media because they are extremely self-aware or emotionally evolved. Sometimes people walk away because something painful happened there. For some, it was a breakup. For others, it was a difficult period in life where seeing everyone else's perfect moments made their own reality feel heavier. Sometimes someone shared something personal online and it was ignored, misunderstood, or met with silence. That kind of vulnerability, when it isn't received well, can leave a lasting emotional mark. So for many people, leaving social media wasn't a carefully planned decision. It was more like self-protection, and that reason is completely valid. But what becomes interesting is what happens after they leave. Many people describe a similar feeling a few weeks later. Something becomes quieter. Not the fear of missing out, but almost the opposite. It's like a constant background noise suddenly disappears. A noise they didn't even realize was there until it was gone. And when you ask them what they miss about social media, many pause for a long time before answering. Most eventually say something surprising. "I don't really miss it." Research actually helps explain why this happens. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that when people expect to share an experience online, they actually enjoy the experience less. Even before posting anything, the mind begins preparing how to present the moment to others. Instead of simply living the experience, part of the brain starts packaging it for an audience. And those two mental processes compete. The result is that the emotional depth of the moment becomes weaker. The memory itself becomes less meaningful. People who keep their lives private often sense this cost, even if they've never read the research. At some point, they simply decide it's not worth it. Unfortunately, people who don't post online are often misunderstood. They're sometimes asked strange questions like, "Why are you so private? What are you hiding?" There's a subtle suspicion directed toward people who don't participate in the constant sharing culture, as if choosing privacy means something must be wrong. But psychology offers another explanation. The concept most closely related to this behavior is called private self-consciousness. This refers to a personality trait where a person naturally focuses more on their internal world, their thoughts, feelings, and personal reflections, rather than constantly monitoring how they appear to others. People high in private self-consciousness aren't disconnected from reality. In many ways, they're actually more aware. They tend to ask themselves questions like, "What do I genuinely think about this? How do I actually feel about this moment?" Instead of asking, "How does this look to other people?" In a culture built around visibility and performance, that inward focus can sometimes feel unusual, but it's not a flaw. Over time, it often creates something very powerful, a sense of identity that doesn't rely on constant external validation. Most people are running a quiet mental process in the background. Are people responding to me? Do I look okay? Does my life appear normal? People who step away from social media gradually reduce that constant checking. However, being private does come with a social cost. In a world where staying connected often happens through posts and stories, not sharing your life can make you harder to reach. Some friendships fade simply because the easy connection point disappears. And yes, that can hurt. But something else tends to happen as well. The people who truly care begin reaching out directly. They call, they send messages, they make real plans. And these relationships often turn out to be much deeper. Interestingly, the Harvard study of adult development, which tracked participants for more than 80 years, consistently found that the strongest predictor of long-term happiness isn't fame, wealth, or popularity. It's the quality of close relationships. Not how many people know you, but how deeply you know of you. The guest who remembered details months later and received a thank you message the next morning. That's exactly the kind of connection the research points to. There's also another layer to this conversation.
Many older generations remember life before social media existed, and when they describe that time, they often say something similar. Life felt more personal. Not necessarily easier, but somehow more like it belonged to them. Moments didn't need to be recorded to feel meaningful. They simply existed. Today, younger generations often have to consciously relearn that skill, the ability to experience something without turning it into content. People who never lost that ability often seem different. They're fully present. Whatever the moment is, they're completely inside it. No part of their mind is already thinking about a caption. Some people mistake that for peace, but it's actually something deeper. It's ownership. The feeling that your life belongs to you. And that feeling can be difficult to explain to someone who has spent years viewing their experiences through the lens of an audience. So if you've ever felt unusual for not wanting to share everything online, if people assume something was wrong because you preferred privacy, or if you simply feel that some parts of your life are meant to remain personal, you're not behind the culture. You might actually be ahead of a conversation that society is only beginning to have. And if this perspective resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you enjoy exploring psychology like this, there are more videos that break down human behavior in simple but meaningful ways. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.